I don't think there's anything too negative about it at all. I think it's just a changing environment. And look, we're all very familiar right now with changing environments and the way that we need to be agile and adapt to those changing circumstances, whether they're internal or external pressures.
Yeah. So, bit of a tricky business because it sounds like on one hand, it's of a benefit overall to all of us as I guess patrons or customers, in terms of preserving cinematic history, but at the same time, it's probably and whilst the prices would have gone up, I'm sure would have been a benefit at one stage. Has it created a bit of an issue where the studios now realize the value to too much of a large degree, and so therefore that starts to bite into your business, or is that kind of where these partnerships are coming to play?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's about opportunity, isn't it, really? And it's about understanding the marketplace and management of the marketplace within, or management of your activities within the marketplace. So I don't think there's anything too negative about it at all. I think it's just a changing environment. And look, we're all very familiar right now with changing environments and the way that we need to be agile and adapt to those changing circumstances, whether they're internal or external pressures. And for me, it's just the next leg of the journey, really, as much as anything else. So I think it's a good thing. I love doing interviews like this. I love talking about the hobby. I love the hobby gaining more exposure and having more people learn about it, because it is a fascinating world. But it is also, to a lot of people, it's like, okay, well, why is that Keanu Reeves costume that Prop Store have on their website got an estimate of £40,000 to £60,000? The one from The Matrix that we're selling in a couple of weeks' time. And you need to really immerse yourself in it to a degree. You need to, get onto the Prop Store's Facebook page. You need to get onto our blog pages, read the articles, understand about the origins of this material, understand about how rare some of these items are as well. It's rare for a particular prop or costume to be unique, because multiples are regularly will be made for filming on, which is essential to the filmmaking process. You could never be reliant on setting up a whole shot for a day on only one prop or one costume. But if they're not unique, then they are, really, really hard to get hold of. Very rarely do all of those iterations survive after filming. A lot will be thrown away or disposed of, or have been squibbed and used and no longer, salvageable. So it's very different. It's a very difficult thing for a lot of people to get their head around. But I think as you step into it, if you consider it like art or antiquities, and I think they're good parallels to compare to, really. And then you start to think about, what it is that you like, where your passion lies, what you would like to see sitting in a glass cabinet in your TV room or your office or whatever it might be. And that starts to narrow down the focus of, what you might be interested in, what you can pay more attention to, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I imagine that to a large part, film memorabilia would be similar to the hobby that my mate's in, in the sense that a lot of those items go up in value, or more often than not, they go up in value. So you could look at it as a investment. I mean, is that fair to say? Is that normally the case, or and there's probably always some sort of situation where things buck the trend, but in general, do items tend to go up?
Yes. In general, they absolutely do tend to go up, and we've seen that year on year for the last 20 years, and I still think it has a massive way to go. I think there are still so few people, day to day, just general people who are going about the business who have any awareness of this. I think in percentage terms of the global collecting population, it's probably tiny. So I think that the opportunity and the scope is still there. And look, we're not talking about big changes within short periods of time. You're talking about perhaps buying into a piece that you might want to hold on to for 3 to 5 years before you're going to see the returns in it, which would be similar to buying, a vintage car or a collectible car or something like that, or even art. But I think the most important aspect of collecting, and look, this will be the same for your friend, and this is something that I say time and time again, is just to buy with your heart.
Mm.
Focus on something that really truly resonates with you, something you're going to get some enjoyment and some pleasure out of. If you're going to have it on the wall framed in a display, if you're going to have it in a glass cabinet, or if you're just going to have it on a sideboard or on a coffee table, you want it to be something that you're proud of, you're excited about. It's a good talking point for you. It's connected to, some experience you've had in the past. A lot of people buy from us out of nostalgia. It's a nostalgia-driven purchase. People who buy Superman, Chris Reeve material, kryptonite crystals or Superman tunics or whatever it might be, are more likely than not going to have grown up with Superman in their childhood and maybe gone to see that in the cinema together with their family or whatever. And they want to revisit and reconnect with that experience that they had when they were younger. So I think the probability and the potential is very strong for appreciation. As I said earlier, people have been buying from me for the last 20 years. Some of them have made huge profits on the material they bought from Prop Store and then have flipped back through Prop Store in one of our auctions. And that happens year on year. People we sold things to 3 or 4 years ago have put them back into auction with us and seen good returns on those too. But if you're stepping into this for the first time, just focus on what you love. Focus on what really catches your eye and what interests you, and then hopefully the appreciation and value comes along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's tempt fate here. I tried to connect through um, to also show some of the different items that I found on the website. Here we go. Because there are definitely some things here, is that all coming up on the screen for us at the moment? Yes, it is.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, looks like
Yeah,
Ghostbusters to me.
so Ghostbusters, an actual, actual Ghostbusters suit. There's just so many cool things. Or this little guy from the Dark Crystal. I was a massive and still am a huge Jim
awesome.
Henson fan. Absolutely loved everything that he did. Fraggles, the Muppets, etc.
Have you seen that we've got the crystal ball from one of the crystal balls
I
from
did
Labyrinth
see.
in our upcoming auction? David
Yeah,
Bowie
I
one.
did
Yeah,
see
which
that
is
actually. I thought, yeah,
incredible.
that would be,
Yeah,
outstanding. Now, this gremlin, is
Gremlins. That
this
looks
a more of a replica?
Yeah, that looks like a replica to me. We actually have managed a huge amount of Gremlins material from Gremlins 2. We worked
Yeah,
with Rick Baker a number of years ago, and we brought all of his collection to market through a live auction that we did out in Los Angeles, actually. And then
yeah,
we've offered an awful lot of it through fixed price as well on our website as well. And actually, that is one sort of collection that we're seeing recycle back through our auctions year on year. I'm pretty certain we've got a couple of key Gremlin pieces in this year's auction that takes place on December 1st and 2nd,
yeah.
and they originated with Rick Baker, and they're brilliant. They're wonderful. Condition is a consideration with original Gremlins pieces. They're
Right.
made of a material called foam latex,
Yep.
and foam latex has a propensity to break down. It starts as a powder. It's mixed in with water and other chemicals to create this compound so that they can pour it into a mold and then install an armature, etc., and then paint it and finish it. And essentially, what that has a tendency to do over years is dry out, and so
Right.
it sort of becomes quite crispy. So some of those puppets, and especially the Hensons, very few of the Hensons puppets have survived. Fizzgig was a great example of one that did survive. That's a wicked puppet. I used to love the hair, the punched hair on that, and the sort of they actually used feathers. So
Yeah.
just to get the slightest wisp of air around it, and all of it used to move. It was very, very cool. And that had a bit of restoration work undertaken to it as well. If I remember rightly, its nose had just gone very slightly crispy, and we had to have one of the skilled artists who we work with just undertake a little bit of restoration and stabilization on that. And again, which is very similar to any sort of vintage or aging collectible in the art market or other comparable markets. Care and attention does need to be taken. Yeah, it's great, isn't he? What a little fella. Yeah, that sold in an auction we had about 4 years ago. I miss him. He was in my collection for a long time, actually. He was in my
Yeah,
personal collection. Oh, there we go. That's a great piece. This
yeah,
is
absolutely amazing. Looks like you've had some amazing aliens items, and that's right up there with some of my favourites.